you survived the opening. Congratulations. You developed your pieces, you castled, you did not hang your queen in 12 moves. You feel responsible, mature, possibly dangerous. And then the middle game begins. Now the board is full. Nothing is hanging. Nobody is getting checkmated immediately. You can take a bishop, centralize a knight, move a rook, push a pawn, improve your king, or just stare at the screen hoping the move appears by divine intervention. This is the stage where most players stop thinking and start guessing. Today, I'm going to give you a clear structure for how to approach the middle game. Not random inspiration, not vibes, structure. Let's start with the first idea. 1. Bring your heavy pieces into the game. You already developed your knights and bishops. Good. That was step 1. Now it is time to activate the heavy pieces, your queen and your rooks. The queen should not stay on her original square forever. A very typical idea is to place the queen on a central square on the second rank where she is safe and useful. For example, imagine you can choose between placing the queen on one square where an enemy knight might later jump and attack her, or placing her on d2 where she is solid and protected. Queen goes to d2. That one move does several things at once. It supports your bishop. It creates the potential for a battery with bishop and queen aiming at the opponent's king side. It clears the first rank so your rooks can connect and move freely. One calm queen move can improve your entire coordination. That is efficiency. 2. Do not exchange just because you can now suppose your opponent develops a bishop and you are tempted to capture something on f6 or somewhere similar. You trade, they recapture with a pawn, and suddenly their pawn steps forward, controlling new central squares. Your knights can no longer jump there. A file opens for their rook. What did you gain? Nothing. You help them improve their structure and open lines. That is charity, not strategy. Instead of trading automatically, you could simply retreat your bishop to a square like b3, overprotecting it and keeping the tension. Not every exchange is progress. Sometimes it is just a mistake wearing a polite suit. 3. Activate the sleeping rook. Let's assume your opponent also develops their queen. You already moved your queen earlier. So what now? Look at your rooks. One rook has participated in castling. The other is still sitting in the corner like it paid for a ticket but never entered the arena. Bring that rook closer to the center. For example, rook goes to d1. Now both rooks are connected. Now you are playing with all your pieces. Before that, you were basically playing without one of them. Middle game is not about fancy ideas first. It is about using all your pieces. 4. How to create play when everything is locked. Very often you look at the position and everything is blocked by pawn chains. No open files, no direct attack, just structure. There are 2 classical ways to change that. The first way is a sacrifice to open the opponent's king. For example, you might sacrifice a bishop on h6 or g6 to destroy their pawn shield and open lines. However, if you only have your queen participating in the attack and no other pieces nearby, the attack is probably not sound. With correct defense, your opponent can survive. But if they are careless, for example, if they move their queen to e7 to guard a knight on f6, then you can add more attackers. Knight goes to g5, increasing pressure. Suddenly, the attack becomes dangerous. The key is numbers. If you do not have enough pieces in the attack, it is usually unsound. The second, more solid way to open the position is a pawn break. For example, pawn goes to d4. Even if the opponent controls the square, you may be able to support the pawn with multiple pieces and push it through. Trades happen, pawns disappear, lines open. You might not win material immediately, but your pieces become more active. Open files appear. Later, you can even consider pushing pawn to a5 to increase central pressure. Opening the center is not flashy, but it is powerful. 5. When you are being attacked. Now let's talk about defense. Your opponent launches an attack. Your king feels exposed. Checks appear. A knight jumps forward. A rook lifts. It feels like chaos. Here is the core principle. An attack only works if the attacker has more attacking pieces than you have defenders. If they attack with one piece, you only need one defender to balance it. You do not need to panic and retreat everything. You just need to equalize the number of attackers and defenders. For example, instead of passively moving backward, you might play Rook to d3. That move defends and at the same time attacks their queen, forcing it to move. Defense does not mean cowardice. It means balance. 6. Activate the least active piece. After the queen moves away, ask yourself a simple question. Which of my pieces is doing absolutely nothing? If everything is active except your rook on f1, that rook is your problem. Improve it. You could move the king to g2 to connect the rook. Then rook goes to h1, increasing activity and gaining tempo by attacking the opponent's queen again. If they give check, you can bring the other rook over and continue pushing the queen back. This simple method, improve your worst piece, solves an enormous percentage of middle game positions. Strong players rarely play random moves. They improve something every turn. 7. Remove the intruder. There is one rule that eliminates a shocking number of blunders. If your opponent has a piece on your side of the board, especially a queen, that piece is your primary target. Do not ignore it. If their queen sits on f4 inside your camp, it is the source of future tactics, forks, tricks, and disasters. Neutralize it. For example, queen goes to e3, offering a queen trade. If you are up material, trading pieces simplifies the position and removes counterplay. If they accept the trade, you move toward a winning endgame. If they refuse, they must retreat. Either way, the intruder is handled.